Well, we're just before the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started officially. Good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Preeti Washington. I'm with the National Center on After School and Summer Enrichment. Thank you for taking time to join us today. Before I turn things over to our hostess, host, Ms. Siobhan Braden, just a couple of really quick Zoom tips. I know we've all lived in this environment for a while. We have a chat where we invite you to introduce yourselves and also to pose any questions or share any resources. And at the bottom of your screen, we also have a reaction button. Feel free to give a thumbs up or share your response to something that resonates with you. We are offering live captioning for our event today. So if you need, you can enable your live captioning. There is a button, 3 buttons and the word more at the bottom of your screen. And if you click that, you should see the option where you can enable that. And I think that's it. At this point, I'm very happy to turn things over to my in-case colleague, Siobhan Braden.
Thanks, Preeti. I'm Siobhan Braden with the National Center on After School and Summer Enrichment, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on Summer, the Great Equalizer. It's wonderful to see in the chat that we have people joining us from all across the country, including the Wichita and affiliated tribes in Oklahoma. We have folks here from Vermont, West Virginia, Indiana, and all across the country. So thanks so much for taking some time to join us today. Before we get started with our agenda today, we realize that you likely came to this meeting right from another meeting without a break. So we're going to provide a quick mindfulness moment. So if you'd like to join me in just taking a pause and breathing in and out 3 times slowly. And then if you'd like to draw a spiral with your pen or finger, feel free. This is a tip that we just recently got from a colleague. A spiral is a very powerful symbol in many cultures that goes way, way back. And it has a calming influence, at least I find. So thanks for joining us for that. So our facilitators for today, you've already met Preeti and myself. Also joined by Katari Coleman, our project director, and Jill Parrin, who's assisting with the collaboration technology. We're excited to have guest speakers today, including Leslie Gabay Swanston, who's a technical assistant specialist with NCASE and also represents the National Summer Learning Association. We're also joined by Jeff Cole, who's the network lead for Beyond School Bells at the Nebraska Children and Families Foundation. Susan Jacobs, Deputy Commissioner for Pre-K and Instructional Support at the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning, and Karen Davis Platt, who's an early childhood system consultant with our sister national center, the State Capacity Building Center. So our agenda for today, we'll share some information about planning for equitable summer learning opportunities, including a preview of our new System Summer Learning Planning Guide, which will shortly be released. We'll tell you a bit about our NCASE resource library. The majority of our time will be spent on a panel discussion with our panelists from Nebraska and Georgia. We'll get an overview of some consumer education tips for reaching families around finding after school and summer programming for their children. And then we'll do wrap up and feedback. Now we'd like to find out who's joining us today and what your department or organization's role is in supporting summer programming. Preeti, can you launch our first poll, please? And if none of these match your role, there's also an option for other, which you can put in the chat. Looks like we have a lot of folks from Child Care Resource and Referral. That's great. We have state CCDF lead agency staff. We have School Age Network and National After School Association affiliates. We have other state, territory, and tribal staff. and we have some childcare providers and some regional office staff. Thanks so much. Preeti, can you bring us on to our next poll, please? And this one is about how are you involved in planning for summer programming? And I believe you can select all that apply. Preeti, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so please select all that apply. Great. So we have a lot of folks involved in all of these opportunities, promoting and increasing provider funding opportunities, collaborating across sectors, facilitating summer programs, and participating in statewide committees. That's exciting. Thanks so much. It's helpful for us to know what your role is. And I think we'll go ahead and close this poll, Preeti.
We've closed it.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, I'll be passing this over to Leslie Gabe-Swanston, and she'll share some information about the importance of quality summer learning experiences and some guidelines from the forthcoming Systems Summer Learning Planning Guide, which will be out soon. Here's a screenshot of it. And everyone who attends today will receive notification when that's become available on the Child Care Technical Assistance website. So Leslie, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. So many of you already understand the importance of providing quality summer learning experiences for all youth. Summer is a special time for youth and families to be introduced to and engaged in extensive opportunities for growth and learning. Summer programs provide support for working families that want to ensure their children are safe, healthy, and learning during the summer. They help support youth that are transitioning from one grade to the next. A recent report from the Afterschool Alliance highlights the main reasons cited by parents of all income levels for their children not participating in summer programs. While 39% indicate that their family does other things during the summer, parents also cite expense and lack of transportation as factors, and 13% indicate lack of summer program availability in their community. When disaggregated by income, we see that children from families with higher incomes are 3 times as likely to participate in summer programming than those of families in low income. Summer is one of the most unequal times in education for young people, but also one of the most entrepreneurial times as well, depending on how we utilize these months. One of the ways we like to describe the value and high ROI is what we refer to as the 4 I's of summer. Every summer learning program not only helps young people improve their skills, but also helps adults and teachers working in the programs by doubling up the staff training. There are lots of programs that will say that they serve youth and help them with their reading and math, but they are also training and recruiting new teachers into the workforce through these summer programs. The next I is for innovation. Summer programs have always been a place of innovation. There are a lot of national programs in schools that have started out as summer programs. The third area is around interconnectedness and bringing all the different sectors together. We know that education is so fragmented often. In the summer, everyone wants to work together, but once the school year starts, it's hard. We like partnerships, but people are overwhelmed and busy. But in the summer, with a little time to plan and more flexibility around what you do, there's a chance to bring different partners together. There are lots of partnership building in ways that brings all the assets of the community and state together. And if it goes well, that can carry on into the school year. Finally, impact. And we measure impact differently on a student level, on a school level, on a state level. Collectively, what is exciting is the challenge of making sure that every child, regardless of background, income, or zip code, should be able to participate and benefit from high quality summer learning experiences. This is a solvable challenge for our country. We have the programs, we have the students, and we know what works. We might not have had the funding before, but we do now. So there is a way to do this and get us to critical mass by creating effective systems of summer learning. I'll talk a little bit about this, some of the ways that we do this in a bit. First, I wanted to take a minute to define what we mean by summer learning an idea of why we even use the term summer learning. There are lots of places that have been doing this for decades, but there are some places where this is new. What you see on the slide are broad historical kinds of distinctions. Historically, if you have to go to summer school, a young person would say that it's a punishment, that it's not going to be fun. It's going to be in the school building, my friends won't be there. It's just going to be an extension of the school year. The idea that summer learning can be a reimagining of what that experience looks like. It doesn't have to be academics only, but social, emotional, and mental health supports and enrichments as well. Plus, you can make it so engaging and hands-on that everyone wants to come and it can be voluntary. It doesn't have to just be remedial, but it can give you a chance to learn new things that maybe you couldn't get to during the school year curriculum. And also that youth can have a big say in what it looks like and make it feel a little different from what they experienced during the school year. Next, I want to briefly touch on some areas of effective summer learning systems. First is a shared vision and statewide coordination. A shared vision for summer learning, which informs the creation of a statewide summer learning action plan, should be developed to guide and coordinate the efforts of a diverse group of collaborators and to support statewide collaboration. This includes connecting summer learning to other state priorities. Next is engage leadership. In conjunction with state child care and educational agency teams, summer learning work is led by a collaborative group that represents key OST education agencies existing at the state level. Collaborators share accountability for the development and implementation of action plans, and state leaders act as champions and support local initiatives. This includes coordination between state departments, out of school time state agency coordination, and identifying leaders that will champion summer learning. Third is data management systems. There is a model summer learning systems implement processes for data collection, sharing, and analysis across collaborators, including the standardization of data collection and evaluation. Next is a continuous quality improvement. Exemplary summer learning systems adopt a process of quality improvement at both the systemic and programmatic levels. This includes systems for quality assessment and program improvement and professional development for summer learning providers. Fifth is sustainable resources. State system building around summer learning should consider the funding targets and strategies for program development and growth and system capacity building. This includes obtaining diverse funding sources and identifying someone to act as a summer learning coordinator. Finally, marketing and communications. Exemplary summer learning programs identified statewide strategies to understand the demand for summer learning, to build an awareness of need and available resources, and to support culturally and linguistically diverse student recruitment and enrollment. This includes messaging alignment and awareness building and dissemination of statewide data results. It is essential that state and local governments establish a quality management system that provides positive summer program opportunities to youth. They can take steps towards quality, accessible summer programming through a 4-part annual quality improvement cycle known as PAIR, or plan, execute, assess, and reflect. During plan, we set quality improvement goals, then develop and implement a plan for achieving them. Through execute, we implement activities to promote program quality goals and strategies. In assess, we look for evidence of quality improvement in program offerings. And in reflect, we review summer program data and debrief with key state collaborators. I hope this gave you a brief overview of some of the elements of effective summer programming.
Leslie, we don't have another slide for you. Did
Nope.
you have another slide?
Nope, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing that information. And we're excited to let folks know as soon as the System Summer Learning Planning Guide is available, because it's going to be a very useful resource for you. Before we go on to our panel, where we hear some great examples of collaboration around summer planning and implementation, we just want to introduce folks who aren't familiar with our NCASE resource library to this curated collection of tools, information, and examples of promising practices for the OST field. There are more than 400 resources, and we do make quarterly updates. And they cover a wide range of topics, from promoting positive youth development to supporting the OST workforce. The types of resources include research reports, issue briefs, webinars, toolkits, and fact sheets. And I believe Kate is going to put the link to the resource library in the chat. And we really do review and include resources that are relevant to OST professionals at all levels, system level, administrators, and those who work in supporting workforce development, licensing, and quality improvement across OST and expanded learning sectors. And there are also resources for state after-school networks, community-based and school-based providers, home-based childcare, and those who support providers with training and coaching. And now I'm going to pass it over to Katari Coleman to introduce our panel and facilitate the discussion. I'd just like to note that we welcome all participants to share questions, comments, and examples from your work in the chat during the discussion. Katari.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. I have the pleasure of introducing our awesome presenters today that have joined us. First, I'd like to introduce Jeff Cole. He is the network lead for Beyond School Bells, part of Nebraska Children and Families Foundation. And then we have Susan Adams, Deputy Commissioner for Pre-K and Instructional Support out of the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. Welcome so much, both of you. So I'm gonna go in alphabetical order to get this panel discussion started. And starting with Georgia, Deputy Commissioner Adams. Susan, can you please share with our participants information on your state's summer learning efforts, highlighting the state's specific initiatives, so the Georgia Summer Transition Program. So to specifically connecting to the information that was just communicated, can you share information around planning efforts, the initial and ongoing, and the collaboration and coordination efforts? So who's at the table and everything that makes this initiative possible?
Sure. Thanks so much for including me this afternoon. I'm happy to talk about our summer transition program that we've been funding here in Georgia for was started as a really small pilot program that recognized the opportunity in the summer prior to pre-K for our children that had attended our Georgia's pre-K program. At that time, we were in an ongoing study of the quality of our pre-K program. And one of the things we identified was children that learned a lot during the pre-K year, but many of our children, regardless of that, were still behind and not ready for kindergarten. And specifically that, of course, addressed children from specific areas. Of course, equity was factoring in. And then also we had a waiting list of about 10,000 children that didn't have the opportunity to attend our school year program. We serve a little over 80,000 children in our Georgia's pre-K program. That's about 60% of our eligible 4-year-olds. So we still had a gap. And so we created the program to really look at the opportunity for supporting children in that summer prior to kindergarten. It is, well, traditionally, it's a targeted program for children that meet certain requirements, eligibility requirements around income. So focusing at some of our at-risk program children, but also children that have an identified disability that might benefit from the additional time in the summer, a child whose first language is not English, and a priority for children that didn't attend during the school year. Now, I will say that because of the pandemic for the last 2 summers, we have significantly increased the number of children that we have served, and we lifted the income eligibility because we felt like all children would benefit from an in-person summer program. It is a program where we work with a wide range of stakeholders, both school systems, but also private childcare and not-for-profit agencies to offer these programs. And we really need that to be able to address children all over our state. Of course, Georgia has some pretty significant metro areas, but predominantly Georgia is a rural state. And so we need to look at those large number of stakeholders so we can serve the children. Also in this program, we have a focus on those skills to get ready for kindergarten. Lower class sizes of children in those classes during the school year, focused on skills to be ready for kindergarten, especially literacy and math skills and social emotional skills. But in the summer, we also do an arts integration program in conjunction with our Woodruff Arts Foundation, where children have visiting artists come. And then a huge part of our program is we fund what's called a transition coach to support families in the summer and to make sure that these kids on kindergarten day one are registered for kindergarten, that their families know how to connect with their local schools, that they have all their paperwork in. And then they also do a lot of workshops for families. They provide school backpacks full of supplies for kindergarten. They help parents get registered in parent-teacher organizations, and there's funding to support all that. This summer, we'll do a big push around supporting parents and around building resiliency, not only for families, but also for kids in order to help them become ready for kindergarten. So that was a whole lot of information. Hopefully I hit the high spots there.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to shift over and ask Jeff to consider the same information, just sharing information about your initiative and really as an overview, specifically connecting the information that, to planning efforts, initial and ongoing, and collaboration and coordination efforts. Who's at the table to make this happen?
Great, thank you, Katari, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and really enjoyed listening to Leslie's presentation. I thought she did a great job of capturing, so much of the research around quality programming and why it's so important, but also that need for planning and that kind of long-term state level systems building work. I was taking lots of notes then. Not going to talk a lot about that because that's the work I'm going to be doing over the next year to be ready for summer of 2023. But that was a really good roadmap, and appreciate you guys laying that out. For us, we're about to launch, or we have launched, a program called Best Summer Ever. So this is kind of our 2022 effort around providing Nebraska youth with opportunities to have fun, engaging, hands-on learning experiences this summer. Really, recognizing all of the challenges that they faced during the last 2 years of disrupted learning. Nebraska Children and Families, that's the foundation that hosts Beyond School Bells, Nebraska Statewide Afterschool Network, is kind of facilitating this grant-making project called Best Summer Ever. But it's not happening in isolation. Kind of as Susan mentioned in her presentation, we started our work in this field with some small pilot projects really focused on transition as well, transitions between elementary and middle and high, investing in a couple of high need communities. This was pre-pandemic, and saw some really good, impact, really good return on those investments. COVID hit, and then last summer, we were partnering with the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and utilized some of their CARES Act funding to help support a more robust array of summer learning experiences in high impacted communities across the state. And we tagged that initiative Summer of Innovation. So again, kind of taking advantage, as Leslie indicated, of the opportunity that summer provides to be innovative in what you do with your programming. I really wanted to give communities opportunities to innovate in their after school. In their summer learning spaces. So enjoyed doing that, learned a lot of lessons, and are continuing that partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services, but are very excited to be able to braid in another state level partner, our Nebraska Department of Education. And this year we're going to be able to integrate some of their ESSER 3 funds into the philanthropic funds that we're able to direct, as well as some remaining CARES Act funds. So really trying to leverage as many funding sources as possible to create, a robust array of new opportunities for summer learning this year. So Nebraska Children and Beyond School Bells are partnering with the Nebraska Department of Education to administer all of our ESSER 3 funds that were designated for after school and summer. And so we're using those funds to target high impacted, historically underinvested communities for opportunities to either build new or expand existing after school and summer learning initiatives. So very excited about that and being able to wrap that into our summer best summer ever launch. Really our goal is to provide every youth in Nebraska that wants an engaging summer learning experience to have access to one in their community. So very much community driven. Actually came off a call with some of our community partners to jump on this call. And, we realize that this is inherently local work, and we want to be supportive of those local efforts and those local partnerships, which ultimately is what makes for these valuable experiences. So I'll stop there and respond to any specific direction, Katari, that you have.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's great to hear from both of you the importance of partnerships. Jeff, you mentioned at the community level, very important, and I'm glad to hear that. So back to you, Susan. I know we're kind of coming down on time here, but it's important, I think, that our audience understands how you can communicate that your program or initiative addresses equity. It's a very important piece in terms of as we try to reach out and help those that are in need of the services.
So as we think about our summer services, we've really looked at equity in how resources are allocated. So we do look at a grant competition. It's a fairly simple competition where people express interest. Current providers that apply offer services during the school year can initiate a simple application that they're interested in offering summer. And then we have a weighted process that looks at the population that they serve with different factors, socioeconomic factors, race, access issues in the area, so that we're targeting the most appropriate populations. And then also really thinking about the services to be offered during the summer that really allow for children and families to have supports that show that they have what they need to be ready for kindergarten. We have data that shows that our kids start day one in kindergarten on time, registered with all the appropriate paperwork. And that the families are more likely to actively participate in their child's elementary school experience because of the opportunity that they had in the summer transition program. And really targeting the families that need that additional support to know how to contact their local school system, how to get registered, how to support their child once they start school, how to talk to their parent, to their teachers about concerns that they might have with a parent. So I really think that those get at some of the core of some of the equity issues and making sure that children start school on the right foot and using summer as an opportunity for that.
Thank you, Susan. Jeff, can you address the same question?
Yeah, again, we, with our current partnership with the Nebraska Department of Education, we really, kind of took a different tack than a lot of the states that were using ESSER 3 funds. We did not do an open grant competition. We used a variety of data sources, including historic rates of achievement, availability of health and community services in targeted communities, as well as income levels, to identify districts that we wanted to reach out to invest in their communities after school and summer programs. And so for this particular one, it's the summer program component. So it's kind of baked into the formula that we use to really utilizing, again, ESSER 3 COVID relief funds, having that kind of direction was, I think, very important for us. Historically, we work on the back of 21st Century Community Learning Center grant programs in Nebraska. So those are serving already kind of a historically underserved community in our state. And so we try to kind of put that into the formula of the programs that we're working with, so we can be sure that we're serving the youth that will benefit from the programming the most.
Thank you both. So for a quick sort of wrap up as we're coming down on time, what strategies and approaches can you share for others interested in doing similar work? If there's a state lead on the line who's really interested in really adding a system, a summer component that is system, wide, and as all the partners to the table, what advice would you give them? Susan?
Sure. I think it's important to think through who are the partners that are already serving children and families during the summer, whether it's licensed childcare, it's government summer camps, it's school systems, and look at those partners and talk to them about what they see as their need, have clear goals about what you want to accomplish during this time, and then work with those partners who already are an existing resource for families where children are already going, and then where are the areas where there aren't those services, and work with programs across those places. And then also make sure that you're connecting those services to both school year resources. In our case, we looked into to make sure that we were connected, that children that were served in our summer transition program that maybe had a child care subsidy certificate, that they didn't lose their subsidy certificate when they went to school in the fall, for an aftercare. So making sure there's really that continuity and alignment of services, and that you're working together so that it's who are the providers in the space, and then how you're connecting it during the school year services. Because when it's real disconnected, then sometimes families, it's too complicated for them. So how do you assure that alignment so that you can transition back into the school year, and make sure there isn't any lapse of other types of services, which is a real problem for families.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan. Jeff, over to you.
I would agree with what Susan was saying. That alignment is so very important, and being able to build on the quality instruction that youth get during the school day and school year, and quality services they get in their childcare settings. I think it's just so imperative that we have that alignment. For us, it was also a great opportunity to think about leveraging this, probably one-time access to some public funds with private dollars, and really advocate utilizing those public dollars as lures to attract some private funders who like to have their very scarce private funding leveraged with the public dollar. And so creating those platforms for public-private partnership, I think, are really important in these times. And hopefully the experience moving forward will be positive so that those private partners who stepped up when they were leveraging public resources will remain if the public resources, in our case, CARES Act and ESSER go away. So that's our hope, is to use this as an opportunity both to fund some really successful programs, but then also to elevate those stories of success so that people have mental models of really what high quality summer learning experiences look like for all youth, and remain dedicated to providing those services for kids who don't have them. That number that Leslie quoted, that 300%, 3 times difference in terms of access to quality programs, our enrollment in from low income and high income youth, should be something that we utilize to help rally community support so that all kids have access to the kinds of summer learning programs they need to be successful.
Wow, thank you both, Jeff and Susan. Amazing information, especially on the last piece. All I heard was partnerships and really being aware of the families and the children you're serving, and therefore, and also the alignment, Susan, both of you spoke on that, the alignment of services. And I liked how you said that it is important, like, for families to know that they also have their subsidy available for OST as they go in, as this child transitions into kindergarten. Very important. And you're right, families get inundated with too many steps and stuff, and it's like they throw their hands in the air. So thank you both for that information. I think it's very helpful. And Kate, do we have any examples shared in the chat? Are there any examples out there that our participants might have of summer programming that they are doing in their state, system-wide?
Thanks, Katari. Yes, and so far we haven't had anyone share, but I want to invite you all to share if you do have some examples of your own work, and you can populate with links. And I did share the Georgia link for some more information around the summer transition program there, as well as the Best Summer Ever website. So please look at the chat for that.
Thanks so much, Katari, Susan, and Jeff, for those great examples of summer planning and collaboration. It's just very exciting to hear about and think about all that wonderful work that's happening around the country to support our children and families. And it's now my pleasure to introduce Karen Davis-Platt from the State Capacity Building Center, who will share information and resources about supporting families in finding after-school and summer programs for their children. Karen, over to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. So we've heard about some great quality programming for school-age children, and now I'd like to just talk about some tips for your consumer education website that you can help families learn about and find summer care. So remember the intent of the CCDF requirement. The Child Care and Development Block Grant Act requires states and territories to maintain a child care consumer education website where they can post easily accessible information for families. The purpose of the website is to give families that go-to one-stop shop to meet their child care needs, including the summer camp and the summer care for their after-school or school-age children. Effective consumer education sites give families that access in a transparent way, and it gives it to them on their timeline. So here are some key best practices to make sure your consumer education website supports families of school-age children. Ensure your child care search is designed to help families find that summer care. Add helpful resources families can use to your website to help them understand their child care options so that they understand the full gamut of opportunities for their children. For example, you can include links to trusted consumer education resources. Next slide, please. So let's look at how you can enhance your online childcare search to be school age friendly by looking for best practices. And I have a state example to show you. So make sure your childcare search is school age friendly by including those licensed and licensed exempt programs in your search. Across states, some programs for school age care are license exempt, and they may not be captured in your childcare search or your childcare data. So work with your partners to ensure that that data is accurate and up to date, and does include those programs such as those license exempt programs and summer care programs. And then determine what is the best way to share that data to make sure that it's the most accurate for families. Enhance your search filters to make sure they're dynamic, including age groups and program attributes that may be important to families, and highlight key program information that would be important for families when they make those childcare choices. Next slide. Okay, enhanced search features allows families to tailor their research. So previously I mentioned those dynamic search filters where users can choose more than one item to maximize their results. So they could be looking for different age care as well as specific care for age group, childcare friendly. Program types could be summer camps and school age programming, and annual schedules. So we know that there are year-round schools and schools where families only need summer care or vacation care. So make sure that families can find that information. So next, I'd like to share with you the Minnesota Parent Aware Search for Care. And there's an example of a screenshot. And this search does include age group categories. You'll see that the yearly schedule option is also mentioned here. So families can select more than one age group. So if they have a school ager and a preschooler that they're looking for care for, so they can search for more than one care. And the data here also includes licensed and license exempt facilities. In addition to helping families find summer care, it's important to help them understand the care options and what to look for in quality programming by providing web content and resource links. And on my last slide, thank you. Seek out those quality resources to link to them through your consumer education webpage. A good tip is to make sure your resources are current. If you link directly to the resource, be sure to check back regularly to make sure that link is working. I did want to just highlight for you that childcare.gov has content for families and information to help them understand the childcare options. New content is being posted within the month we're very excited about. And one of those is a look, listen, and ask tip sheet for families in looking for summer care and out of school care.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate you sharing these resources. And it's a good reminder to us all that families frequently include children of multiple ages. So the ability to look for out of school time and full day childcare for children of different ages is really, really helpful. So thank you so much. We've also included resources that are relevant to this presentation, either were shared today or are relevant to this topic. Finally, before we wrap up, we'd really appreciate you taking a few minutes after today's event to provide feedback to help us plan for future webinars. And Kate has put the link in the chat. We really use your feedback to improve our offerings and to really listen to what's useful to you. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you have a great rest of the day and that this information was helpful to you. We'll be sharing the deck with you after the event, and we'll share the recording when it becomes available, along with the System Summer Learning Planning Guide. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.